Yerp, yerp. Let me hear y'all hit me with a yerp. Niner gang, bang, bang. Back again, man. We here to talk week 2 versus the Eagles. 1 p.m. Eastern time in Philadelphia. I'm gonna give you some key players on offense and defense, some strength and weaknesses on offensive defense, injury reports. Also, we'll give you a little bit of some keys to winning the game, and also some key matchups to look out for, and also, of course, a score prediction. So let's get right into it. I ain't gonna hold y'all. Let's talk Eagles. Let's talk offense, and let's talk the offensive strengths. And the offensive strengths for the Eagles are the offensive line play, their quarterback play, and their wide receiver play. And remember, this is just going so far off this season, not necessarily of anything that happened prior to last week. So, offensive line play, the Eagles have always had great offensive line play. They kept Jalen Hurts upright for most of the game last game. I think he only got sacked one time. But that was, of course, on Jalen Hurts' part too, as well, as he can run the ball as well too. So that was on him as well. But the offensive line play is very dominant in Philly. Quarterback play, Jalen Hurts, he played lights out in his first game of the season this year. And wide receiver play, the wide receivers played great as well too. Devonta Smith, Jalen Reagor, Quez Watkins, and all those guys. Dallas Goedert, Zach Ertz, all those guys played great as well. For any weaknesses I can see so far from week 1 in the Eagles offense, it would be the running game. Outside of Jalen Hurts, Miles Sanders had an okay day. It wasn't the best of days. He had an okay day. I mean, he did average 4.9 yards a carry, but of course, he had an okay day. But I think the running game is just one of their weaknesses right now, with not being able to have multiple options there besides the quarterback and the running back. As far as some key players for the Eagles, of course, quarterback Jalen Hurts last week, he went 27 to 35, 77% completion for 264 yards and 3 touchdowns. Like I said, he was only sacked once. Great performance from him. Miles Sanders had 15 carries for 74 yards at a 4.9 yard average. No rushing touchdowns. And he also did have 4 catches for 39 yards and no touchdowns there either. But Miles Sanders did play a big part in their offense, both running and catching the ball out of the backfield. And what did we have problems with last week, 49ers fans? Running and running backs catching the ball out of the backfield. So hopefully we'll focus up on that, try to stop Miles Sanders from doing his thug thizzle. The wide receiver, Devonta Smith, the rookie, came in and he played great in his first regular season game. He had 8 targets. He caught the ball 6 times for 71 yards at 11.8 yard average and a touchdown for him. So he did very good. Jalen Reagor came in right after him with 6 catches for 49 yards at 8.2 yard average and a touchdown. Also, Dallas Goedert is a key guy. He had 4 catches for 42 yards and a touchdown. And also Zach Ertz is another one. They have 2 tight ends that they can plug in anytime. He had 2 catches for 34 yards as well. On the offensive line, they're anchored by Jason Kelce and right tackle center Jason Kelce and right tackle Lane Johnson. They should be getting Landon Dickerson back. I just don't know where he fits in on the offense, since he is a center, and they do already have Jason Kelce. Moving on to defense for the Eagles. On defense, the strengths are the defensive line play and their collective secondary play in game 1. Defensive line play, I mean, you got Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox, Javon Hargrave. These guys cause all kinds of problems on the defensive front, not allowing you to get any running game going, and also putting pressure on the quarterback, which is pretty dope as well, as they got 3 sacks last week. As far as, like I said, collective secondary play, these guys will rotate in and out. They'll play at least 5 to 7 guys in that secondary at any given time during the game. They'll rotate those guys and get those guys in there, and they play very, very well against the Falcons, holding those guys and their explosive wide receivers and tight ends to less than 100 yards combined. As far as the 1 and 2 targets on the Falcons, Calvin Ridley and the tight end from Florida, Can't remember his name right now. You know how I am with names. But any weaknesses on defense? These guys may be prone to the big play and the second level of the defense. So I don't like the linebacking core, and also the Eagles may be prone to the big plays. They did give up a few big plays against the Falcons, but they can be prone to them playing a better offense, i.e. my 49ers. Bang, bang. But some key players on defense for the Eagles. You have Brandon Graham, and Brandon Graham had a tackle or two. He had 2 total tackles. Didn't do anything outside of that. He had 1 tackle for loss, but he is a guy who can step up. Fletcher Cox always clogs up the middle. He may not have the best of defensive stats, but he'll always clog up that middle and give you some problems there. Javon Hargrave at defensive tackle with 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, 6 total tackles. I mean, that guy was everywhere and everywhere he should be. Linebacker Eric Wilson. Eric Wilson came tied for first in tackles. Didn't have any tackles for losses or sacks or anything, but Eric Wilson is another guy to watch out for. Cornerback Darius Slay and also Avonte Maddox. Avonte Maddox was tied with Eric Wilson for the most tackles in 9, and Darius Slay had 6 tackles and 1 pass defended. So did Avonte Maddox, had a tackle for loss and a pass defended. So yeah, these guys, like I said, strengths are going to be defensive line and collective secondary play. Weaknesses are going to be they may be prone to the big play, and then their second level, their defense in the linebacking core. Just think that is a real weakness on that defense right now. Let's talk about some keys to winning the game on offense for the 49ers. 3 keys to winning the game on offense. We are a running team. Number 1. Establish the run. We are a running team, Niner gang. Please establish the run. Number 2, get Kittle involved a little bit more. I know he had 4 receptions for 78 yards last week, which is great, but I just feel like we need to get him involved just a tad bit more just to make sure everything is flowing well. If we can get him involved underneath with our wide receivers running over top, that sucks the safety down. Boom, we got Debo deep, we got Ayuk deep, we got Sherfield deep, Jennings deep, somebody deep. So yeah, get Kittle more involved on the offensive end. And number 3, keep Jimmy upright. Any key to any offense is to keep the quarterback upright. We don't need Jimmy to get hit because we know how injury prone he is, and we definitely don't need him to be sacked. And we don't want Jimmy to get flustered because we know when Jimmy gets flustered, he starts throwing the ball everywhere. And that's just not what we need right now as Niner fans. We're trying to go 2-0 in the season with opening on the road in the East Coast 2 times back-to-back. So, yeah, we're trying to go 2-0. So keep Jimmy upright. 3 keys to win the game on defense, Niner gang. Number 1, contain Hurts. If I'm not mistaken, Hurts was the second leading rusher on this team with 7 attempts for 62 yards. He had a long of 14 yards. Most of those 7 attempts, I think, were scrambles. So we just have to make sure we contain Hurts, get him on the ground. Do not let him get outside of the pocket and make plays with his arms or with his legs, and give him the choice to either make a play with his arm or his legs. Number 2, key on defense to win the game. DBs have to play better in coverage. We have to play better in coverage, especially against tight ends, as these guys have 2 capable tight ends. Especially against tight ends, as we did not do a good job against Hockenson last week, as he had like 9 catches for 87 yards or something like that on us and a touchdown. So our DBs have to play better in coverage. I know we're probably going to be, hopefully we get Emmanuel Mosley back, and we'll probably be pulling up Josh Norman this week due to the fact that Jason Verrett is out with a ACL injury for the season. And number 3 on defense, open field tackling will be huge. This Eagles team is a very fast team. Jalen Hurts runs a 4.59 40. Miles Sanders runs a 4.4 40. Devonta Smith runs a 4.4 40. Jalen Reagor runs a 4.4 40, but he does have a few unofficial 4.2s. Quez Watkins, another receiver, then runs a 4.3 40. So we have to make sure that we are making open field tackles in space and not letting these guys run away from our defense with their speed. That is going to be the third key for winning the game on defense. Now let's talk some key matchups. I have 3 key matchups I want to talk with you guys. So some key matchups here. The 49ers defensive line versus the Eagles offensive line. I talked about it earlier, how good the Eagles offensive line is. I think our defensive line is just as good, especially if we can get Javon Kinlaw back this week to shore up the middle of that defense, because last week we did get gashed with Detroit Lions early in the game up the middle. We did calm it down for the rest of the game, but through the first quarter and a half, we gave up some very big runs slashing up the middle. So our defensive line versus the Eagles offensive line. Can we create pressure? Can we plug holes? Can we stop the run game against this great Eagles offensive line? We shall see. My second key matchup is Jalen Hurts and the Eagles wide receivers and tight ends versus the 49ers in coverage. I just said that one of our keys to winning the game on defense was the DBs had to play better in coverage. That's going to be my key matchup. Can we cover the tight ends, the wide receivers? Hell, I'll even throw in Miles Sanders out of the backfield. Can we cover those guys better than we covered last week? We cannot give Jalen Hurts 358 yards passing. It's just not going to work if we want to win this game. I think he has much better weapons around him than what Jared Goff had in Detroit. So we really need to see. So I'm actually very looking forward to this matchup of Jalen Hurts and the Eagles wide receivers, tight ends, and running backs pass catching versus us in coverage. I just want to see if we can make a stride in coverage to where we can slow these guys down. My last key matchup is going to be the 49ers offensive line versus the Eagles front 7. The Eagles have a very, very good defensive line, an okay linebacking core. So, and you know what we want to do, right, Niner gang? We want to get out motion. We want to throw some reverses in there. We want to throw some traps in there, some read option in there. You know what I'm saying? We want to throw some draws in there. Shanahan's going to give people the same play from a lot of different looks, right? But we want to run the ball. We want to be dominant on the offensive line, and that's what we're going to have to do. We're also going to have to be dominant in the pass protection, because the Eagles have shown they can get pass protection from the inside. Pass rush on the quarterback from the inside and from the outside. So our 49ers offensive line versus the Eagles front 7 is going to be key as well. And now, I think for 3 keys for the Eagles winning the game on offense is going to be spreading the ball out and trying to hit us deep as the first key. So spreading the ball out and trying to go deep over top of our DBs. As we know, our DBs are prone to giving up big plays. That's just the way it is right now, Niner gang. It is what it is. But that's one. If the Eagles, too, they need to establish a run game. Because if they don't establish a run game and our defensive line can just pin their ears back and get at Jalen Hurts, then it may be over before it happens. You know, you might be able to call Santa right now in September and cancel Christmas for the Eagles. And number 3, I think the Eagles are going to need to contain the 49er running game if they're going to have a chance. Hey, man, that is our bread and butter. The running game is our bread and butter. If the Eagles don't contain our running game, we are going to run all over them. And guess what that's going to open up? The play action pass on the boot that Shanahan loves to run, or the play action pass on the drop back where we try to throw the ball across the middle to Kittle, or hit Debo on a back shoulder throw down the sideline. It is what it is, though, man. But those are the 3 keys I think the Eagles need to win this game. As for a score prediction, I am going to go 49ers 31, Eagles 23. Lock it in. Lock loaded. Actually, I'm going to write it down right now. 49ers 31, Eagles 23. Niner gang, I appreciate you joining me here today. Let me know your thoughts on the game. Eagles fans, you tune in too if you are watching. Let me know your thoughts on the game, who you guys think will win. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and as always, I'm real, and I got a damn sports opinion. Signing off.